ingredients. So there was a story circulating in the family for a few years about members of the family living in Australia. They were quite distant relations, but I remember that one of my relations, a distant aunt, used to regularly write to them in Australia. So they'd write a letter telling them what was happening, whatever, and over a period of a few years they would write to each other. And in those days, obviously, you'd send the letter and the reply would take a few weeks to come back. Obviously the post was, I suppose, pretty slow and all the rest of it. Anyway, my aunt was writing to, I don't know what the relation was, it doesn't really matter, but they were both very interested in baking and used to make cakes a lot. And it was interesting the difference in cakes in England, where my family was from, and in Australia. And they used to exchange recipes, things like that, and they was big into baking cakes. And once the relation in Australia sent an ingredient with a letter and said, this is, I think it was cinnamon actually, but there was something about it maybe that was more unique to Australia, and a recipe for a cake, which my aunt duly made and enjoyed, and thought, this is fantastic, you know. So she decided to reciprocate, and she had a recipe that she used to use. She was very big into the sponges. They had been very, very light cakes she used to make, but the icing was like a white icing, and it was obviously pure sugar. I still remember the sugar rush when I used to eat her cakes, but it was quite nice. Anyhow, she sent the recipe and some ingredients, so they had a bit of a rapport going. Anyway, a while later, a package arrived from Australia, and it was a powder in an envelope, an ingredient. But somehow the letter had somehow been misled or didn't make it in time. But my aunt Julie made a cake with this ingredient, and it wasn't a bad cake at all. I don't know what the recipe was in full, but the ingredient seemed to give it a little bit of a bit of zing. And then a letter arrived, maybe 2 weeks later, from Australia. The letter that was meant to be with the ingredients. And the letter started off saying about she had some really sad news. That her husband had died. And he wanted his ashes to be sprinkled in England.